Hello everyone, welcome to Top Tips. In today's video we'll be discussing the top 10 states black people are moving to. In the past, many African Americans moved up north to avoid the challenges of living in the South. But now, most of them are moving back to the South and to other states you might find surprising. With that said, here are the 10 states that have seen the most new black residents in the last decade. Number 10. Ohio. In the last decade, 86,500 new black residents have arrived in Ohio. One of the areas seeing the largest increase in black population is Bedford, Ohio. This town saw a 28% increase of African American residents. One reason some blacks may be moving to the state is many of the cities have a relatively low cost of living. Homes are also affordable, and the state is considered to have a decent job market. A few of the cons to keep in mind about living in Ohio is that the winters can be harsh up there. The crime rates are high in the major cities, and there's said to be a lack of efficient public transportation. Overall, Ohio does have a lot to offer, so it'd be a good state to consider moving to. Number 9. Massachusetts. Massachusetts has seen 88,500 new black residents in the last 10 years. Brockton, Massachusetts became a majority black town last year, making it the only one in the New England area. It had a 44% increase in African American residents in the last decade. So why are black people moving to Massachusetts? One possible reason is because of its highly touted healthcare system. It's attractive from a career standpoint if you work in the health field, and from a personal standpoint if you want to live in a state that offers good healthcare. Massachusetts also has some of the best higher education institutions in the country, which may be attracting blacks wanting to go to a good school or looking for jobs in the academic field. Be aware that the cost of living and housing is very high in the state. With being up north, the area is of course also prone to harsh winters. But to end on a positive note, Massachusetts is considered one of the safest states to live in. Number 8. Tennessee. In the past 10 years, Tennessee has seen nearly 90,000 new black residents come to the state. Most of them have been moving to Nashville. The job market has been steadily growing and the unemployment rate has remained below the national average. The state is also considered to have good schools and good health care. And of course you're probably well aware of the thriving music scene that's in Nashville. Though if you're not a huge country music fan, you'll have to learn to accept hearing it more often than you would in most places. Some of the cons of living in Tennessee are that there have been issues of poverty and crime in both smaller towns and major cities. Mid-Tennessee can be prone to experiencing tornadoes, and Tennessee has one of the highest state tax rates. But the state does have a low cost of living, no income tax, and lots of events to enjoy throughout the year. Number 7. Virginia. Virginia has seen over 100,000 new African American residents in the last decade. You might be surprised to learn that Virginia has the second highest concentration of tech workers. Among the other benefits that may be encouraging blacks to move there are low crime rates, low taxes, great schools, and great health care. The state also features a variety of different nature scenery from beautiful mountains to warm sandy beaches. There's a lot of good things going on in this state, but of course Virginia isn't immune to having downsides. The cost of living in Virginia is higher than the national average. Homes can also get pretty expensive in some areas as well. If you plan to live in the northern part of Virginia, you'll have to get used to dealing with heavy traffic. Despite that, if you can afford to live there, it's definitely one of the better states to live in. Number 6. Minnesota. Over 111,000 new African American residents have made Minnesota home in the past decade. Similar to Massachusetts, Minnesota is considered to have good quality education. The state also has a low crime rate, low housing costs, and a low cost of living. It can be pretty rare to find all three of these traits in one state. As for the cons of living in Minnesota, you'll of course have to deal with really cold winters, and in the summers, there can be a high amount of mosquitoes. Minnesotans have been said to have a reputation of being passive-aggressive. Taxes are also pretty high compared to other states in the Midwest. Nonetheless, if you're a nature person, you'll enjoy how much nature the state has to offer, along with also having a great food scene. Number 5. Maryland. Living in Maryland can put you not far from many major cities such as DC and Philadelphia. In the last decade, the state has seen over 129,000 new African American residents. Maryland features a variety of different scenery such as farmland, cities, beaches, and mountains. The job market and the healthcare system in the state are both considered to be good. If you're into seafood, Maryland has lots of it, including blue crabs, oysters, and catfish. Two major cons of Maryland is the high cost of living and the high property taxes. Though to be fair, it's lower in comparison to the major cities nearby. The crime rate and the homeless population are also high too. And unfortunately, given its proximity to major cities, the traffic can get pretty bad sometimes. But as long as you can afford to live there, the job opportunities and the healthcare offered make Maryland worth considering. Number 4. North Carolina. Whether it's Charlotte or Raleigh, the black population has grown significantly in North Carolina. In the past 10 years, over 213,000 more African Americans became new residents of the state. Among the reasons many African Americans may be moving there include low cost of living, low housing cost, low property taxes, and nice nature scenery. Winters are said to be mild and summers aren't considered to be too extreme. Unfortunately, crime rates in the state are higher than the national average. North Carolina is also always at risk of potentially being hit by a hurricane. While there are some good universities, the K-12 public education system isn't considered among the best. Overall, North Carolina is a great state for nature lovers and those looking for an affordable place to live. Number 3. Georgia. In the past decade, Georgia has seen an increase of 438,000 new African American residents. Some of the increases in black population were in smaller towns such as Fairburn and Union City. While places closer to Atlanta can be expensive, Georgia generally has low housing prices and low property taxes. The winters are generally mild, so it's a good state if you want to avoid anywhere cold. Beyond the major cities, Georgia has many lakes to enjoy and lots of nature scenery. As far as cons, if you're not a fan of long hot summers, you'll have to get used to it if you choose to live in the state. Traffic isn't the best, crime rate is higher than the national average, and it's also one of the most obese states in the country. Despite these things, you'll enjoy the affordability of the homes and also the many events and festivals that come into the state yearly. Number 2. Florida. With 460,000 new African American residents in the past 10 years, Florida comes in at number 2 on our list of where black people are moving. Some of the attractive things about Florida include the year-round warm weather, no state income tax, and a lower than average unemployment rate. The houses are considered affordable, and there's also the beaches, the theme parks, and many other attractions in the state. But of course, with living in Florida, you'll always have to be prepared for potential evacuations during hurricane season. Additionally, the crime rate and the cost of living are both above the national average. Florida has also had a reputation of being overcrowded, having bad drivers, and being dangerous for pedestrians. But in spite of that, the allure of never dealing with cold weather, along with continued job growth, explains why many African Americans are moving there. Number 1. Texas. Texas has gained more new black residents than the first 5 states on this list combined. In the last decade, Texas has seen over 600,000 new black residents in the state. Texas consistently ranks among the top 10 in job growth. Among the other benefits include no state income tax and a cost of living below the U.S. average. The state is also home to many different major cities such as Dallas, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. Some of the drawbacks of living in Texas are the high property and violent crime rates. There's also less affordable healthcare and high sales and property taxes. Still, there's no denying Texas has a lot of opportunities, which makes it understandable why African Americans are moving there more than any other state. Thanks for watching. This is Top Tips, tipping you off.